number 11. We're comparing greater than less than, and we have to remember that with this we have a number line. 0, anything positive is automatically greater, anything negative is automatically less than, and then of course these count up and these are counting backwards. So the larger a negative number, the smaller it is. So for instance, negative 100 would be very small, smaller than a negative 3, even though a positive 100 is greater. So the farther you go here, the greater it is. In the other direction, the smaller it is. So for this first one, we're simply going to see whether they're true. This deals with absolute value. This right here should just be an absolute value sign. And what I tell the students to do is not guess, but actually write it out. This means, once again, negative 12 is 12 places from 0, and is 12 greater than 19. So once again, greater than, once again, think of it as a G as in greater than, and an L, okay, an L as in less than. So that's less than, this is greater than. So 12 is not greater than 19, so that one won't work. Here, once again, we're going to write it out. 19 is just a regular number, greater than, and this is negative 12 is 12 places from 0. 19 is greater than 12, so B is one of our choices. Then, we're going to have negative 12, that's just a regular number, so we write it with the negative sign, greater than, and once again, any absolute value is always positive. So if it's positive to start with, it's still going to be positive. So negative 12 is greater than 19. No, all negative numbers are smaller than positive numbers because they're all to the left of 0. So once again, negative numbers are here, positives are here. These, anything on this side is automatically less than. So we're going to go ahead with the next one. Once again, we have absolute value, and that always turns into a positive. So that means this is a 12, less than, and this is 19 places from 0, 19. Is 12 less than 19? Yes, it is. So D is one of them. That's correct. Then, for E, once again, this is absolute value, means how far from 0. Negative 12 is 12 places back from 0. And then we put in our sign, and this is just a regular 0. Is 12 greater than 0? Yes, 12 is greater than 0. Our next one, we have just a regular 0, so we put it down. We put down our greater than sign, and then negative 19 is 19 places away from 0. So once again, if we get rid of the absolute value sign, we're just left with a positive number. Is 0 bigger than 19? No, because our positive numbers are all right of 0. So this one is not correct. So our correct answers are B, D, and E. Okay, for number 12, we're going to find the temperature on each of these thermometers. So we're going to go ahead and look at the scale for each one. And then we're going to find the largest, the highest temperature and the lowest temperature. So if we take a look at the first one, we can see that it's between 60 and 70. Now one thing that the students are likely to do is go ahead and say 60, 61, 62, 63, 64. But this isn't actually 64 degrees because if we kept counting it, this is not 65. So when we're doing this, we'd have 60 and we're counting by 2s. 62, 64, 66, 68. So that's about 68 degrees Fahrenheit. So between 60 and 70, closer to 70. So we're going to go ahead and be sure we're counting. Sometimes they do have a scale of using 1 instead of 2, so the students will need to count. Here we can see for the next one, we're right here between 70 and 80. So we have 70, 72, 74, 76, 78 degrees, and that's Fahrenheit for these. Here we're between 90 and 100. So we have 90, 92, 94, 96. We're about 97. So if students couldn't tell and they put 96 or 98, that would be fine. But so this would be about 97 degrees, so closer to 100. Then we take a look at our next ones. We have here, this one is right about at 40. Okay? So this one would be 40 degrees Fahrenheit. And then we're going to then we're going to take a look over here. So we have 40, 42, 44. So this one's going to be about 44 degrees Fahrenheit. If the students thought that was 45, that would be fine. Okay? Now, one of the things that you do have to be careful about when you're doing these is when you're doing the negatives, because there are going to be negatives. So if I were to go ahead and have this filled up to this point right here, so then it would go over to here, to this line. Some students might go 20, 22, 24, 26, 28. But actually this is below 0, so we're counting down. We're counting negative 2, negative 4, negative 6, negative 8, negative 10, negative 12 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's closer to negative 10 than it is to negative 20. So you have to be careful when you're doing the negatives that you're counting properly. I want to go ahead and show this thermometer. This shows both Fahrenheit and the Celsius scales. And so we can see on this scale right here, it lines up here, and at this one point at this scale. So if we're going to take a look here, we have to kind of see how we're counting. So here we can see we're going from 0 to 20, so this would have to be 10. So therefore, we'd be counting 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So these would be 2s. So when we go down, this would be a negative 2 degrees. That would be negative 2 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay? And if we're looking on this side, which happens to be the Celsius scale, if we take a look between here, we can see we're going from negative 10 to negative 20. So if we started counting, negative 10, negative 12, negative 14, negative 16, negative 18, we're not to negative 20. So on this one, it's actually counting negative 11, negative 12, negative 13, negative 14, negative 15, negative 16, negative 17, negative 18 degrees Celsius. So on this side, each tick mark is 2 degrees difference. So each step is 2 degrees. Where on this side, each step is only 1 degrees because it's going to take 10 to get down to this point. So students have to be careful, and then remember, of course, that you are indeed counting down. So when you are working on this side over here, you must be careful not to say 20 and then count up 21, 22, because you're going down between 20 and 10, which means you start at the 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and negative 18 degrees Celsius.